Chosen one, today is your day. Today is not an ordinary day. Today is the day when you fully feel your power, break your chains, overcome your old limits, and walk to your destiny. Those who underestimated you, those who underestimated you, those who tried to prevent you from shining, all of them are now left behind. Because today is your victory day. Don't explain to anyone. Don't try to prove yourself to anyone. You are already enough. You are already strong. Today is the day to embrace your destiny. Today is the day to throw off all the weight of the past and walk with your full potential. After this hour, who thinks what? Who says what? Who has what expectations? None of it matters anymore. Because you are the one chosen by God, the one who will not hide your light, the one who will continue on your own path. Today is the day when you say goodbye to the past for the last time, surrender yourself to the infinite power, and walk confidently on the path laid out before you. So, hold your head high, throw your shoulders back, and take that big step you deserve. Write 77 in the comments because your time has come. Your shift from being at the mercy of others to standing in your own power has left them speechless. The energy you carry now demands recognition, an unshakable presence that refuses to be minimized. Those who once dictated your worth are bewildered by the quiet authority you exude. You have stepped beyond the reach of their approval, no longer swayed by expectations that once weighed you down. This isn't a fleeting moment of defiance. It is the unveiling of your truest form, a reclamation of your essence. Something deep within has awakened, something unstoppable. There's a pulse within you, a force that wasn't there before, igniting your spirit in ways even you hadn't anticipated. They sense it before you even say a word, the way your movements are deliberate, the way your voice carries certainty, the way your gaze no longer seeks permission. The shift is undeniable, a force of nature rewriting every unspoken rule they once relied upon to keep you small. The version of you they once controlled, gone, like mist burned away by the rising sun, never to return. The force you emanate is impossible to ignore. It surges through you, a current that disrupts everything in its path. When you enter a space, there is no hiding it. Your presence is a storm front, a change in atmospheric pressure that unsettles those who once thrived in your compliance. No more pretending, no more stretching yourself thin for the comfort of those who never deserved it. No more swallowing the truth just to maintain peace at the expense of your soul. You have stepped beyond the illusions they crafted, and the realization hits them hard. They stare, disoriented, searching for the person they once knew, the one who bent, who adjusted, who lived in quiet servitude to their expectations. They miscalculated, believing your kindness was weakness, not seeing that it was a gift you chose to give. That gift is no longer available to those who mishandled it, and the balance of power has shifted. The roles have reversed. Where once they relied on your willingness to carry the weight of their expectations, now they must stand on their own. You are no longer their emotional crutch, their shelter from accountability, their convenient fallback. Their world tilts the moment they realize their influence over you has vanished. They throw out the same manipulations, the same tactics designed to provoke you, to pull you back into the old dance. But the game has ended, and you are no longer playing. You don't react. You don't entertain their attempts to pull you into the past. There is nothing left to discuss, nothing left to prove. The person who once apologized for existing, who made themselves small to avoid conflict, is no longer here. They built their comfort on your exhaustion, their ease on your labor. their peace on your willingness to sacrifice. Now, the balance is shifting. The chains they thought would always hold you have rusted and crumbled away. They no longer have access to what was once freely given. The old order has collapsed, and they are left scrambling to adjust to a reality where you stand unshaken, untouchable, unmoved. And now, they are struggling. They are adrift in the absence of your unwavering support, unprepared to face the weight of their own burdens. They call you selfish because they don't understand what self-respect looks like. They label you cold because they have only ever valued warmth that was offered at your own expense. They say you've changed as if that were an insult, when in truth, it is the greatest testament to your growth. Yes, you have changed. Just as fire reshapes metal, just as the tide carves the cliffs over centuries, just as the earth shifts and reshapes itself without permission. They tried to keep you bound, but while they were busy trying to contain you, you were expanding beyond their reach. The evidence of your transformation is undeniable. Every choice you made in silence, every moment of growth they never noticed, has accumulated into something unstoppable. The new version of you cannot be ignored. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Your success is the mirror they cannot look away from. It forces them to see what they took for granted, what they dismissed, what they overlooked. The peace you carry, the way you move through life with intention and clarity. It burns them. They realize too late that what they had was rare, and they let it slip away. You didn't seek applause while you were building yourself back up. You didn't broadcast your healing. You simply did the work while they remained stagnant. And now they watch, trying to decipher your steps, desperate to retrace a journey they were never willing to take themselves. But there are no shortcuts to what you have built. They want the destination without the journey, the reward without the labor, the transformation without the fire. But you walked through that fire, and they stood on the sidelines. Now they cannot follow. You have severed the cords that once tethered you to those who drained your spirit. The manipulators, the ones who feigned support while secretly hoping for your failure, the ones who only reached for you when they needed something. You have cut them loose. There is no anger, no dramatic exit, no need to explain. You simply walked away, and that is what unsettles them most. They never believed you would leave for good. But you have, and they cannot comprehend a reality where you no longer revolve around their expectations. Their efforts to pull you back grow frantic, their tactics more desperate, but you are already gone. The chapter where you lived for others, where you measured your worth by their acceptance, has ended. The future is yours now, free from the weight of those who only sought to keep you in place. This is your ascent, your emergence, your moment of reclamation. There is no looking back, no shrinking, no return to the constraints they once placed upon you. You move forward with unwavering purpose, unburdened and limitless. The road ahead is wide, the horizon endless. What you were before no longer defines you. What they expected of you no longer binds you. You have stepped beyond the confines of their expectations, and they are left in the past, watching, wondering, wishing, but they cannot follow. This journey is yours alone. There is something about undeniable self-assurance that unsettles those who once dictated the rules. It is not loud or boastful, yet it commands attention in a way they cannot ignore. Those who thrived on control now find themselves powerless, watching as the influence they once held over you crumbles. Their approval no longer carries weight. Their opinions no longer shape your decisions. This is not arrogance, not some hollow performance begging for recognition. It is something deeper, an unshakable trust in yourself, a knowing that does not waver in the face of doubt. The illusions they once wove around you have shattered, leaving nothing but clarity. Every subtle manipulation, every undermining remark disguised as encouragement, every attempt to keep you tethered to their expectations. It is all exposed now. Their carefully crafted masks slip when they realize you no longer seek their validation. Their forced smiles, their half-hearted congratulations, their awkward silence when you succeed. It is all so transparent. And the best part? You no longer care. Like a tree that has outgrown the soil it was planted in, your roots have broken free from the dry, depleted ground that could no longer nourish you. You have felt the shift in your spirit, the undeniable calling that whispers you were made for more. And so, you have risen, stretching toward the heavens, no longer bound by the limits placed upon you. Those who once took shelter beneath your shade, who depended on your strength without ever tending to your growth, now find themselves exposed. They assumed you would always be there, standing firm, giving endlessly, bending to accommodate them. But they never considered what would happen if you decided to plant yourself elsewhere, in richer soil, in a place where your spirit could flourish without being drained. Nothing disrupts a system built on dependency more than choosing to walk away. When you refuse to be the foundation for others who never intended to build anything for themselves, the entire structure collapses. They were comfortable with you being their endless source of support, the one they could turn to, the one they could rely on, the one they could drain without consequence. But the moment you stop allowing them to pull from your well, they are left parched, scrambling, trying to find another to replace what they lost. But it is too late. You have stepped into your own divine power. You have seen the truth, and once seen, it cannot be unseen. There is no going back, no returning to the old ways where you sacrificed yourself for the comfort of others. They didn't expect you to move in silence. They never imagined that you would leave without a fight, without an argument, without a need to explain. They thought there would be a debate, that they could convince you to stay, that their guilt, their manipulation, their carefully crafted words would be enough to keep you bound. But you didn't give them that satisfaction. You just left. The doors they assumed would always be open are now locked, and they stand there, knocking, pleading, trying to find the words that might make you turn back. But your heart is not listening. Your spirit is at peace. The urgency they feel is not yours to carry. And now, they panic. The same people who dismissed your needs, who took you for granted, who never considered what you might require in return, are suddenly desperate to hold on. They send messages dripping with false concern, pretending to care, pretending to be confused. They show up unexpectedly, hoping to catch you off guard, hoping to find the old version of you, the one who would have caved, who would have softened, who would have given them yet another chance. But that version of you no longer exists. It has been transformed, transfigured, resurrected into something stronger, something sacred. Like an eagle that has outgrown the low branches and finally spreads its wings to the open sky. You have risen beyond the reach of those who once kept you caged. They were comfortable when you stayed grounded, when you clipped your own wings to make them feel secure. But now, the winds have changed. The calling in your spirit is too strong to ignore. You were never meant to dwell among the scavengers, picking at what little was left after everyone else had their fill. You were designed to soar. And now that you've taken flight, those who never invested in your growth cannot expect a seat beside you. You are no longer a vessel for their burdens. You are no longer the resting place for their complaints, their chaos, their selfish needs. They were more than happy when you carried the weight for them, when you lightened their load at the expense of your own well-being. But those days are over. You have stepped into a season of divine alignment, a season where your energy is reserved for the things and people that pour back into you. There is no more room for those who only know how to take, no more space for those who drain without replenishing, who consume without gratitude. And now they are looking for you. They are searching in the places where they last left you, expecting to find the same version of you, waiting, ready to serve, ready to sacrifice. But they don't realize that you have moved. You have stepped out of that old space, out of the role they assigned to you, out of the small box they tried to keep you in, and they cannot follow. Like a farmer who toiled in the field through the storms, breaking the hard ground, planting the seeds, and waiting patiently through seasons of drought. You have worked for this moment. You labored when no one was watching, kept the faith when no one was clapping, endured the process when everyone else walked away. And now, the harvest has come. The fruit is ripe. The blessings are overflowing. The breakthrough is undeniable. But here they come, the ones who left when the land was barren, showing up with empty baskets, expecting to reap what they never sowed. They were nowhere to be found when the field was dry, yet now they want to feast at your table? No, it doesn't work like that. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold, in abundance. They were absent when you were struggling, silent when you were hurting. They saw you walking through the valley, saw you wrestling with hardship, saw you barely holding on, and they turned away. Some dismissed you, some doubted you, some even laughed at the idea that you would ever rise. But now they see the elevation. Now they see the promise unfolding before their eyes. And suddenly they remember your name. Suddenly they reach out, pretending they were always in your corner, pretending they were cheering for you all along. But you remember the silence. You remember the nights when no one checked in. You remember the weight you carried alone. They didn't walk beside you when you were in the wilderness, yet now they want access to you in your promised land. No, it doesn't work like that. You don't get to leave someone when they're climbing the mountain and expect to sit with them at the top. This table is set for those who stayed. This feast is for those who prayed with you, believed with you, poured into you when you had nothing to give in return. They had their chance when you were giving freely, when you were available, when you were still offering yourself up without boundaries. But they squandered that grace. They treated your presence like it was nothing special, like it would always be there, like they could withdraw endlessly from a well they never contributed to. But the well has been sealed. The doors have been shut. The version of you who tolerated being overlooked, who accepted being treated as an afterthought, is gone. And now they are watching from a distance as you step fully into the life you were meant for. They whisper about you, speculate about you, try to figure out how you got here without them. Some resent your success. Some try to downplay it. Some wait for you to stumble so they can say, "I told you so." But their opinions have no power here. Their words hold no weight, because while they were doubting, you were building. While they were ignoring, you were growing. While they were watching from the sidelines, you were walking in faith, step by step, refusing to give up. And now, they are left with nothing but regret. They wish they had treated you differently. They wish they had stood by your side. But the time for second chances has passed. This is your season of separation, your moment of divine elevation. And the truth is, they were never meant to go where you're going. If they couldn't stand with you in the struggle, they don't deserve to stand with you in the success. If they couldn't pour into you when you were empty, they don't get to drink from your overflow. Like a ship that has set sail from a harbor that once held it captive, you have broken free from the docks of your past. For years, you were anchored there, waiting, hoping, believing that those around you would one day see your value. But the wind of destiny has shifted, and you have raised your sails. The current is carrying you forward, and those who never boarded when the waters were still now stand on the shore, watching you disappear into the horizon. They had their chance to journey with you, but they hesitated. They doubted. They took your presence for granted. And now the ship has sailed, and they are left behind. So you move forward, unshaken, unstoppable. The road ahead is blessed. The path is clear. What was once uncertain has now been illuminated, and you walk with confidence, knowing that what lies ahead is far greater than anything you left behind. There is no need to check the rearview mirror, no need to second guess, no need to explain why you cannot turn back. You are called to something greater, and your spirit has already accepted the invitation. And as for them, let them watch. Let them stand there in silence, regretting the moments they could have shown up but chose not to. Let them wonder how you made it without them, how you kept going even when they counted you out. Let them wish they had chosen differently, that they had stood beside you when you were struggling instead of assuming you would always be there. But their regret is not your responsibility. Their sudden realization of your worth does not require your attention. You are no longer in the business of convincing people to value what they once overlooked. You, chosen one, are not looking back. The days of waiting, of longing, of hoping for people to recognize your light are over. You are walking straight into everything that was promised to you, and nothing, not their regret, not their sudden interest, not their empty words, can pull you back to where you no longer belong. The favor on your life is too strong, the calling too great, the vision too clear. You are stepping into alignment with your divine purpose, and there is no space for those who are comfortable watching you struggle. What was once a holding pattern has now become acceleration, and you are moving with the momentum of someone who knows they are destined for more. The ones who were meant to walk with you are already by your side. The ones who were never meant to make the journey. They are watching from a distance, unable to follow. And that is exactly where they are supposed to be. Something in your spirit has shifted, and they can feel it. The access they once had is gone. The doors they used to walk through have been sealed shut. The version of you that would have let them back in no longer exists, and that terrifies them, because now they have to sit with the reality of what they lost. They have to face the fact that they were never meant to walk this next season with you. And oh, how they wish they had treated you differently, how they wish they had honored your presence when they had it. But this is not a time for looking back. You have been called forward. The weight that once held you down has been removed, and now you move freely, unburdened. The people in your life now, they don't drain you. They don't take advantage of you. They don't leave you empty. They see your worth without you having to prove it. They celebrate your growth instead of resenting it. They support your journey instead of trying to delay it. You have been surrounded by those who walk in light, those who understand the value of who you are, those who meet you with the same energy you give. This is the divine shift. This is the moment you step into everything that was always meant for you. And those who once mistreated you, let them watch, let them wonder, let them sit in the silence of their own choices, because you are not looking back. You are walking in your purpose now, and nothing, not guilt, not manipulation, not regret, will pull you back to where you no longer belong. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. And oh, how they wish they had treated you differently. Now that you no longer exist for their benefit, they suddenly see your value. Now that you are no longer bending over backward, they suddenly respect your strength. Now that you are no longer easy to reach, they suddenly crave your presence. But this is not a story of regret. It is a story of rebirth. It is a story of stepping into the fullness of who you are without looking back. Because you see, when God starts moving in your life, when divine favor begins shifting the tides in your favor, there is no force on earth that can stop it. You are not walking away from them. You are walking toward your purpose. You are not losing anything. You are gaining everything. You are being led, guided, carried toward the life that was always meant for you. And those who tried to keep you small have no place in it. And so, you go forward, unshaken, unwavering. The light ahead is brighter than anything behind you. The future is wide open. And as for them, they will watch, they will whisper, they will wonder what happened, but they will never have access to you again. Everything is aligning, not by chance, but because the moment you reclaimed your power, the very fabric of your existence adjusted to reflect it. There is no force greater than a mind made up, no magic stronger than a soul that has chosen itself. What once felt like resistance now feels like momentum. Every decision, every step, every boundary has reshaped your path, and there is no turning back. The changes are not just internal, they ripple outward, shifting the entire landscape of your life. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way opportunities seem to unfold effortlessly now. It is all a direct reflection of the work you have done. And they, the ones who doubted, the ones who tried to contain you, the ones who failed to see your worth. They are left in the distance, watching as you become everything they never thought you could be. Not because you needed to prove them wrong, but because you finally decided to live without permission.